Yeah, so I was streaming Jurassic World Evolution 3, the Rebirth Expansion, and I streamed it last night for 2 hours. So I'll get to that. We'll get to some backstory in a second. But yeah, I streamed it last night for 2 hours, and I streamed it for almost an hour today. Not a lot of time under my belt here, but what have you been up to? You've been playing, and I've been playing the campaign.
Yeah, so
You've been playing the sandbox, right?
Yeah, so the bulk of the time I've spent on it has been on the first map, so the map that's got the facility from the film, and I sort of built out a sandbox map on that, and then used that to film a bit of B-roll and put together like a cinematic that shows a bit of the island. So I've done that. I've also got some screenshots of the new animals, so mainly Distortus, Spino, Mutodon, the Raptors, that sort of thing. So I've seen a lot of the models, spent a lot of time with the scenery, bits and pieces, the new buildings, all of that kind of thing. What I haven't done is the campaign to any great extent. I've played around with stuff like the new aviary and had a go at blending the aviary so it's not visible, that sort of thing. And I have played on all 3 maps. Obviously, facility is the most I've spent time on. I've spent maybe like an hour and a half on the valley, and then probably about half an hour on the river map.
Nice. Yeah, I spent about 45 on the river map just now, and 2 hours between the main site and what was it called? Was it main facility or something?
Yeah, it's like main
and
facility and then valley.
Yeah, and then the ancient valley.
Yeah.
So that was cool. So let's back up a little bit because thanks to Frontier for sending us codes and information and all the stuff on the back end. I know it was a little tricky this time around, but we got it, and I ended up getting it a little late. No shade, but I didn't get to. I was gonna like stream it that first night. I was like hyped, ready to go. Didn't have the code. Sorry. Got to throw some shade a little bit, I guess. But did you?
Chris,
you
I'm not part of that. I'm not part of that.
No. I'm not trying to. I was like, I had a whole regimen. Like I was ready to go that first day, hyped to go, and then I couldn't do my plan, and it kind of threw a whole wrench into things. So that was a bummer. But so then I couldn't get to it the next day. I couldn't get to it took me like 2 or 3 days to actually get to the game, unfortunately. So but yeah. So Tom, when did you dive into it right away? I think you did pretty much, right?
No. I was pretty much the same. So because I play on console. So the way it works, I'm going to break the illusion a little bit, basically. And maybe I'm not meant to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Is basically if you play on PC, it's a lot easier for you to get early access to the build. If you play on console, like we both do, you basically can't get access to it until launch day because of the way the back end systems on the console stores work. So I got my code the day after launch because obviously they'd had a really busy launch window and they had a lot of content going out. And then I played the day after that. So I think it would have been, so it came out Tuesday. So I think I actually spent the bulk of yesterday playing it, and that was it. So yeah, I basically was meant to do some work yesterday, but I sort of took the afternoon off and played the game instead. And kind of just sunk my teeth into it a bit for a few hours.
I was surprised you got to it as quickly as you did. It didn't sound like you were going to be able to, but we both kind of took some time. I went into New York City, and I'm all decked out in Knicks gear here. All right. So I went to the New York Knicks parade up in New York City, and I was there for, the whole day. I actually spent the night before in the city and went right to the parade as soon as I could. I spent hours walking around the city. I think I did a ton of miles, a ton of steps. And then the first thing I do is I put my son to sleep. I got him to sleep when I got home. Took us 2 hours or more to get home. And then, and I live one state over. It's not that far. But then I came downstairs and I started playing the game. And I was like, all right, I got to get some time in. So we're dedicated here. We're dedicated to at least cover it as best as we can. I do think it's been interesting because this, it came out of nowhere. I
Mm,
mean, we kind of expected it, right? We knew this was coming. We did not get to talk about this
yeah,
prior to the release, but we knew we had a feeling this was going to be on the way pretty soon. And there was a lot of radio silence. There's a weird article out
mm,
there talking about the mystery of like, this game not talking about anything, but also survival and some other things going on. It was
yeah,
kind of
other
weird.
franchise partners.
Stuntman, yeah. So, um, yeah, it's kind of weird the fact that all of a sudden it's like, hey, it's operational now. We're gonna go. We're gonna hit you with a free
Yeah.
update, another free thing, and then
It's
boom.
interesting, yeah. I mean, to be fair, they've been moving so the free updates were getting postponed and pushed back and back. And I think that kind of alone makes it clear that it was something to do with Universal and clearly something to
Hmm.
do with the license. We're never gonna know exactly what, but what Frontier did say on both occasions when the free dinosaurs got pushed was it was something that was out of their control. So it doesn't take a lot to assume that maybe that is the person at Universal who was signing off not being in post anymore or something like that. Something changing internally that had a knock on effect on this. I actually think, ironically, people were making a big deal about it, and I'm going to throw shade. It really made me laugh that the people who were like catastrophizing and making people panic were then the first people to make content on it and act as if nothing had happened. I'm just saying that.
Everything's
But
canceled. Everything's done, and we're not
yeah,
getting anything.
yep,
But
yep.
I was in the camp
But
of like, it's weird that it's so radio silent on a lot of fronts. But I wasn't like, this
mm,
this is the end of the world.
no,
It's
it
kind of,
happens. It happens with
yeah.
franchises all of the time. Stuff changes, plans change behind the scenes. I think the thing with this that I was going to say is we know that we got DLC for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and we also know that we got DLC for Jurassic World Dominion. So it was pretty obvious that we were going to get something Rebirth at some point. I do think it's interesting that it's an entire year after the release of the film, because
Yeah,
obviously a lot
yeah.
of time has passed since
It's
then.
funny.
But we finally have it. It's added to the game, and yeah,
Yeah.
that's it
Well,
really.
presumably it could have been released like probably, a little bit earlier, a few months
I
maybe we'll
think
say, but
probably
like,
March because I think
mhm,
it was two. I think it was two dinosaurs that were delayed, so I would imagine around
yeah.
March. But again,
They
you
seemed like
never
they had
know.
a release pattern that they were going with, and
Mm.
then that changed, so then they had to get back on it, and that's why we're a few months
Well,
behind.
what it might mean is it might mean that we get other content sooner because that presumably they'll have finished this, it will have gone
Mhm.
gold, and then they'll have been working on whatever comes next. So it might
Yeah,
mean that
maybe.
we see a quicker release cadence, or it might mean that we have to wait a little while for whatever comes next. It could go either way.
Yeah, but initially, I was pretty blown away by everything that they showcased. It looks,
Yeah.
I was talking as if I haven't played it yet, but like it looks like it was like really good. It looked like the visuals were cool, and I was so excited to see all of those Rebirth, staples, the D-Rex, I
Yeah.
don't feel like they showed off the Raptor ahead of time, did they? I don't remember if they did, but
It was in a couple of screenshots, but that
was
was
it?
about it. And actually,
But
no,
yeah.
it was in the I think it was in the launch trailer because there was a clip of it squaring off with the Mutadon.
Oh, maybe, yeah. I was just so hyped to get some good time with that dinosaur because
Yeah.
we didn't get anything from the movie. For how long did we have that render out in the open?
Yeah.
We all hyped ourselves up about that Velociraptor, and nothing happened. It was just in the background. It was blurry in the movie, and we didn't really get to like really enjoy that species. So when I saw, all right, they're gonna include it here, I was hyped, man. That was so cool. So, but we get all the regulars here, the Aqualops, the Titanosaurs, the cats, and stuff like that. The T-Rex design. So, Mutadon. Mutadon's cool. That was the first thing.
Mm.
Where should we start? Actually, let's
Do
talk
we?
about.
Should we do? I was going to say what I would quite like to do is do skins. So dinosaurs we already had, new
Okay.
dinosaurs, and then everything else that's around it.
Sure, yeah, go ahead. Talk about the skins, man. Um,
Yeah. So
so
so it's interesting. Go on.
no, 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 go ahead. I'm just laughing.
So I was going to say they're like model variants, so they're not just skins. They are variants of the animals like we've seen before. I know some people have complained that there aren't juveniles of the new skins. So if you breed them, you're not going to get a juvenile that's got the same pattern. But I don't think that's the end of the world. I think in terms of what we get here that works really well, I've actually conveniently, is it on here? No, it's not. Never mind. I was going to say I've got my list that I was filming from, but I don't, so I don't know where that's gone. But we get the mosasaur, we get the dilophosaur, the Rex, which I haven't actually looked at in game yet, the raptors.
Ooh, it looks great.
And is there anything else that I'm forgetting? I think there is, because I think it's 5. Oh, the Kets. Kets Quatlas. So those are kind of the 5 that we get. I think 4 of those, so the Dilo, the Mosa, the Rex, and the Raptor, are sort of what you would expect based on what you've seen. I found the Kets quite interesting. I actually, if it's modelled on the ILM render, it has a lot more colour to the skin than I think you ever truly get to see in the film, which is quite cool. Like there's splashes of bluey greens on it and that sort of thing. So I thought they were quite cool. Nice. And I really like how that model in particular has got that really thick like gullet that the new version of the Kets has got. I just think that's quite cool. I can keep talking through this if you want me to, or if you want to interject at any point, feel free.
Well, yeah, you haven't really touched on the dinosaurs that I've seen yet. So, I mean, the T-Rex is the one that you said you didn't really get any hands-on with. I did, and it felt different, just like it did in the movie. You know, it felt like a different Rex than we've seen before. It looked identical to that, and it's part of the river, or whatever that area was, Riverside Lab. So yeah, it's broken up into like 3 different areas, but the Riverside Lab is where you get to see this T-Rex. You get to see it floating around right away, and it looks beautiful, man. Those I don't know what they're called, but those things that are like on the sides of its chin that stand out, like those little like horn looking things, it looks so sick.
Yeah, no, I am really excited to see it. It's cool. I mean, we'll come on to what I was going to say. I was going to reference something else, but we'll come on to it. But yeah, that definitely looks good. I'm excited to see the Dilo as well. I've not hatched the Dilo yet. I feel like the Dilo has got probably the least variety, but that's just because the actual Rebirth design feels quite similar. Well, do you know what? I say this. I go back and forth on this. I mean, I feel like the design is very Jurassic Park, but with a different thrill, is how I would describe it, and without like the white lines and that sort of thing. So I feel like that's not necessarily going to look that different, but it looks way more accurate to the film than a certain action figure that we got recently.
I was just thinking in my head, when you were describing it looking like the Jurassic Park version, I was like, wait, but does it? And then I was like, oh wait, yeah, it does. I was thinking about the other version that's come out recently, and I'm like, that one's so different, so drastically different. It's fine, like as a skin, but it kind of resembles something we would have seen in, if you're changing the traits and you're changing what it's going to look like, it probably would have looked something like that. So, yeah, but I'm interested in the Dilophosaurus, but I think the most interesting stuff. Well, I got to get to the Kets. I haven't gotten there yet, so you've gotten time with the Kets.
The Kets, I think you'll have fun with. Yeah, I think you'll have fun with that. I think the thing that I was a little bit underwhelmed by was the mosasaur, and that's not because of the skin itself, because the skin is really nice. I think what underwhelmed me, and we'll come on to it a little bit more as we talk about the maps, is none of the maps have got a natural lagoon. And I just felt like that was a bit of a miss, because obviously in the film we only ever see the mosasaur in the ocean, so it felt a bit weird having it like contained on the mainland no matter what map you're building on. So I do feel like they could have done something with one of the beaches somewhere and like having a bit of ocean where you could put a natural lagoon, but for whatever reason they decided not to do that. And then obviously the raptors, like you spoke about, I think they look really good. It's quite cool that depending on which skin you use, so there's the male and the female version. I would say we speculate that this is a female version. It's never been confirmed either way that is what it is, although it is in evolution. I think it's just skin A and skin B. So I think you can put it on a male and a female. And
Oh,
basically, if
interesting.
you put it on the male, it has longer quills. So on both of them, it has longer quills that go on the back of the head. If you put it on the female, then it doesn't have the quills. So obviously it's not gender locked, so it doesn't necessarily confirm that had it been in the film, it would have been a female. But I think that's quite cool. But I do think you're right that they are the best bit that we get in this in terms of the skins, like actually getting to see more of them. I will say, and this is a conversation I had with Tim, is the male, in quotes, does feel very JP3, and maybe it could look a little bit more like Rebirth. But then again, the Rebirth design was very JP3 inspired to begin with, so you can kind of see the crossover there. But I just think, yeah, it's cool to have them. It's very bittersweet though, because again, it's a reminder of the fact that the film completely undervalued them and did not use them in the way it could have done.
Yeah, that's for sure. I didn't dive into them too deeply, but as you had just seen in my recent stream, I just put them out there because I tried to get this security level thing, and so the female that I had out there was the one that we would have seen in Rebirth. So I was like, oh, I didn't expect that. I just assumed it was the male variant. I wasn't sure, so I just assumed it was because the male variants in Jurassic Park 3 had that style versus the females didn't. So I was kind of assuming that was the male variant, but yeah, and again, this is not like canonical, like you're saying. You can probably just flip flop them or whatever. But so when I saw that there was this like dusty brown kind of orangey color to the male, I was like, oh, I didn't expect that to be different. I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting. When I saw it, I was like, oh, that's the female, that's the male. But hey, don't judge a book by its cover, I guess. So I wasn't sure, but they both look cool. They both look cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've just made it so they're interchangeable, really at this point. But also there's an interesting thing about the question around dinosaur genders and what genders the different animals are anyway, because Ember is presented as a female Rex, and I know a lot of people in the fandom were like, oh, this is a chonkier Rex because it's a male. So again, it's like, well, the filmmakers have never really spoke about that. Sure, you're going to get people who will be like, oh, I've seen the style guide and it says this. Unless that information is public, don't buy into it. Like, at the end of the day, right now it could be either way, and I think Evolution has just put them where it felt right for the game in terms of the design language that's through the rest of it. So that is the skins. And then
did you mention the Spinosaurus? I don't know. Did you talk about that one?
I didn't. No, I didn't. You're right. So the Spino, I actually think is one of the best looking ones as well. I spent a lot of time screenshotting that. I have really grown to like the new design of the Spino. But I do want to touch on something very funny, which is I recently had the opportunity to film Fossil Festival in Lyme Regis. So anyone who knows that will know that it's a big science event every year where there's lots of talks, there's fossil hunts for like ammonites and things, all of that kind of thing. And one of the talks that the organisers asked me to organise was by Dr. Dave Hone, and it was on Spinosaurs and their ecology. And basically the whole talk was about how evidence has since come to light that proves that Spinosaurs wouldn't have been semi-aquatic. So I just found that really funny because I was stood there like, everybody's celebrating the fact that Rebirth is doing this thing, that it's got them in the water and everything. And actually what we thought was more scientifically accurate is not accurate at all.
This can't be real. No, you're lying to me. Get Connor on the phone. What's going on?
So, but that was the thing. It's like because that initial news story broke and it got traction like everywhere, the follow-up rebuttals that have been put to that story are not as prominent. But it was really interesting because things like the shape of the crest of the Spinosaur isn't quite adjacent to something like the crocodile, which would stay under the water with just its head above. It's a lot more shaped like something like Suchomimus, and Suchomimus wouldn't stay in the water for extended periods of time. So it's just interesting how that perception has shifted again. And I just found it really funny because at the back of my head I was like, I'm going to be going back home to do something to do with the Rebirth Spino.
Yeah, I'm so tired, man. See, this is why I just like what I see in the films. This is why I like Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus, because I don't care what it looks like, in real life. It looks like that to me, and that's what I want it to be. I don't care if a raptor's not 6 foot tall. That's what a raptor is to me. I'm going to believe the films from now on. I don't care. Science,
there we go.
Throwing it out the window, whatever.
Connor,
but
I'm
I am
sorry,
excited.
but that's the end of
Sorry,
Dino
Connor.
DNA.
That's it. I have one ready to go, but I don't know. I don't know anymore. But I am excited to dive into that Spinosaurus because I do think it will look cool in the game. So, if any of your screenshots or anything, dude, those screenshots were awesome for all those dinosaurs. So I can't wait to
I appreciate that.
see them. And the thing is, like, you do these the camera, there's no like information on the screen. It's just like literal shots. Like it looks like it's out of a movie. I never get that experience while playing the game. I try my best to kind of get the camera low and like to a cool spot. And it doesn't really pan out that way. I'm not getting these awesome nighttime shots and all this stuff. So yeah, you're killing it out there with all the footage. So
I will tell you something interesting. So okay. And this is painful to talk about because I've not told you this off air yet, but I crashed it on my last trip. But or maybe I did tell you. Oh yeah, I think I might have sent you the video.
You did tell me.
Yeah. So I crashed my drone. Is what I'm getting at. But that aside, I've started doing drone video work professionally. And I find it really interesting because that is very similar to a capture mode in a video game where you're like a free camera and you're thinking a lot about, okay, how do I get a movement that feels quite cinematic? So I actually took some of what I've been doing with my drone recently and then applied it when I went back into capture mode. And I found that really interesting because to be honest, I've not been massively hands-on with Evolution 3 since it came out. I did an initial spate of screenshots, but I think at the time there was a bunch of stuff going on, and it was like activation after activation. So it came out before Rebirth, didn't it? So there was a bunch of stuff just after that really sort of pushed me more down the toy photography track. But getting back to it has been really fun because I do think the creative tools in the game are really, really good.
Yeah, I remember saying to you, like, when I think when you got the drone or somewhere around there, I was like, dude, you're going to be using those Jurassic World Evolution tools, because you're so good at the capture mode. You're going to use those abilities on the drone because it's, I don't know, usually there's like a video game controller basically that you're using. So that's exciting. But let's talk about some of the new dinosaurs too, because I've gotten some hands-on with some of these, not all of them. Maybe you've gotten some as well, but
so I'm thinking let's do Distortus last, Mutodon second to last, Titan third, and let's start with Aqualops.
All right. Did you get any hands-on with the Aqualops?
So I have hatched Dolores, and I went, oh my god, this thing is tiny. It's impossible to photograph.
Are they fast? Are they like quick moving around? Are they trying to follow people around the island? Yeah. Because I would imagine that would be very difficult to capture. When they announced that they were going to be in the game, I'm like, oh my god. I mean, there's also a bunch of other really small creatures in the game. Anytime you try to find a compy, it's like, and if you have a breeding area, there's just millions of them out there, it feels like. But I'm excited to get these guys on the map. I have not done that yet.
They're cute. I'm gonna tell you something interesting. So I may have been brainstorming an idea for another audio drama earlier. I don't know if it's going to happen because it will be a lot of work. But I was thinking about the Aqualops as part of that, and I was like, okay, why have they made Aqualops? And I was like, what if they saw the Microceratus that was made in the 90s, thought, oh, we want something like that for the Gentle Giants petting zoo, but it's too ugly. Let's get something else. And then they bred the Aqualops. So that's now my headcanon.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I can't wait to dive into some of those ideas later because the campaign and stuff. But yeah, I think that'd be a great idea. And I don't know. It's a fun little species. I like it. And I love these variants here. Did you have that like red frill
I
variant
basically just had three. I had three of Dolores. So I was like, oh, there was one, and now there's three.
Yeah, they're super cute. But yeah, let's go on to the next one, which was the Titanosaur. Not that there.
Yeah, so Titanosaur I've spent a lot more time with. Oh my god, do they breed quickly? I think
yeah.
I like. So one of the gaming mechanics with this one is you have to have nests close together. They like to nest as like a herd, which I thought was quite cool. But I put, I think, 3 nests together because that's how many you need for them to be comfortable breeding. Oh my god, so many juveniles so quickly. But
I don't think I needed to do that. I thought I just added 1 and they did it. They did it right away.
Maybe I just maximize their breeding potential. But like it's massive, like you would expect, which is cool. I really like the way that Frontier have realized the tail for this one. I think it's really cool how it like whips around in the air. And I also think when you get a bunch of them together, it does give you that sense of awe that one tracking shot in Rebirth has, where you see them like all going up the valley. Like when you see them all together, it is like, wow, okay, this is quite impressive.
Yeah, I can't wait to get a ton of them in that ancient valley. So with the campaign, you're just kind of rushing through a lot of things. You don't really get to spend a lot of time until you maybe go back and try to 5-star it. But yeah, I just kind of rushed through it. And I even remembered like I hatched one and then I didn't even go back to look to see what it looked like. I wanted to see that little baby. So yeah, I never got to see it because I moved on. Yeah,
I'm
on
doing
pretty
what
quickly.
I normally do, which is like sending you stuff on Facebook as we go, which is a very professional way of doing this. But I hatched a few of them.
Yeah, super cute. Maybe I did look at it.
I think I had more. Yeah, I had more of them here as well at nighttime. I was just like, yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah, and you mentioned the tail. So oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go on.
All right. When you open up the hatchery and like when the gates start opening up, you get this really cool like tail whipping out of the jungle, and that's I think one of the first things you see is that tail whip, and I was like, "Ooh, that's awesome!" That you hear the sound effects of this creature, wailing and stuff like that. The sound design is so good in the film, and they've carried it over here to the game really well. And then you see that head pop out of the jungle in the hatchery. It looks so great. So yeah, I'm really excited. And then I was like, you were talking about how massive they are. I wanted to get it down on that ground level, so I like standing there, just like looking up at it, and just seeing that tail whip around. It was awesome. So yeah, I really love these things.
This is like animals like this that make me go, oh my god, a VR mode for this game would be insane.
Oh my god, yeah. I like that they have that first person view where you can just kind of walk around. Basically, that's awesome. I do find that the grass, which doesn't ever seem very tall when you're kind of going up there or when you're playing the game, but when you're doing the first person mode, all of a sudden you just disappear into the grass. It's like, don't go in the long grass because you can't see anything.
The thing, I don't know if you find this issue as well, but the one thing that really bothers me being a console player is it does feel like graphically this game struggles sometimes, especially when it comes to stuff like the grass. You can tell I'm British with the way I've just said that, but also with like the plants and things as well. Or it it sometimes doesn't look the highest resolution.
I didn't necessarily notice it with the plants and grass and stuff, but I will say, like, when the game first started and it kind of we'll get into that, but it kind of copies Rebirth a bit, and I was like, "Oh, it doesn't, like,
Mm.
fully feel the same." But yeah, so Titanosaurus, pretty cool. Let's move on to the
Yeah.
Mutodon. So, this here's that image we had to share. It was not the first image, but it's the one we got here. And, dude,
I
this is great. I love this thing. I think
yeah.
it's really cool. Go ahead.
I was going to say I have actually really grown to like it. I don't know why, but the design has really grown on me. To be fair, I say it's really grown on me. I never really had an issue with the design of the mutants because I'm like, if they are something that's like a scientific error almost, then they need to look but ugly. Like they just need to look like the kind of thing that only a mother could love, and they really do.
Yeah.
I just think getting to see them up close and spending more time with them is really cool, and like getting to see the animation for how their weight distribution is a bit weird when they're flying because of that bulbous body and like that kind of stuff works really well. I think the most interesting thing for me with the Mutodons though is the gameplay functionality they added of them being very hard to contain. And that's sort of like the lore reason for why the open air aviaries are introduced as a way to contain them. And I like that it adds a different gameplay mechanic. Obviously, playing on sandbox mode with dinosaur escapes disabled, I've not seen a huge amount of that. I did
Mm.
manage to turn the power off to the aviary at one point and fly a helicopter over them though, and the kind of like animations they've got for attacking the helicopters and stuff is really cool. What I do think more broadly alongside this is I think the open air aviaries just open the possibilities in your park so much more. So I was sending you photos yesterday. I was basically able to turn an aviary into the like cliff face from Rebirth and like put a little temple in, and kind of get the kets to then go up and perch into that. So I think more so as a kind of sideline from the Mutodons, the fact that we now have got another creative tool for our parks is really useful. The one thing I would say on that though is I don't like how they basically function as an invisible aviary. So I don't know if you've tried, but you can't like fly into them. There's still this like dome restriction over them, which just feels
Mm.
a little bit weird and does make it a little bit challenging to access it sometimes. So I've
Interesting.
kind of spoken
I don't
about the
think I have.
Mutodon, but also the aviary there.
No, I don't think I've done any of that, but yeah, we'll get to the aviary, I guess. But I think this thing is fun. Like it starts it off in that same way you were just talking about. Like it's a very dangerous creature that they can't
Mm,
contain. So they made that new aviary, and I think it looks awesome. It's very fast. Like trying to keep up with it with the camera, I was like, oh, this thing's moving real quick,
mm.
and then it's so interesting just to see a creature like that just take off and be so high up in the sky, because I feel like with
Yeah.
something like this stature, I wouldn't expect it to fly so high, but yeah, it just takes off. It just goes, and I think it's really cool. So I'm interested to
I think
see like
it's
all those
really
attacks in the air and stuff like that you're mentioning. So
yeah, hold up a second. Let me find as we go. This is pretty much the way these podcasts work, guys. If you're watching on video, you're just seeing me looking for files rather than seeing the files. And if you're
no, yeah,
listening, you don't even
I'll
get
see
to
the
see the
files.
files. Yeah, Brad will though. But
Oh
what I
man,
was gonna
that is
say
so
is
darn cool,
it's
dude.
cool,
Oh
isn't
my
it?
god,
Yeah.
that is awesome.
What I was going to say, I really like from a narrative standpoint the way they've approached the Mutodon as well, because I think it makes sense in the sense of this is a mutant animal, they're not going to know how it behaves. So I might be talking a bit to the campaign here without knowing, but I really like the idea that these scientists have mushed two animals together and then suddenly gone, oh god, it's not behaving in the way we thought it was going to. We're woefully under equipped to contain this now.
Yeah, I don't feel like they really talked about it all that much because it was literally the first thing you did. So you kind of just dive into the
Mm,
campaign and just start playing it, and yeah, you have to demolish some other old aviaries and stuff like that, and just build a new one real quick. And so it was kind of fast paced, and I just tranked it or whatever and then transported it in. So I don't know if they talked about it that much. Maybe they didn't. It just kind of went over my head. But the fact that this is set in 2005, it's at the very start. It's interesting. I don't know, like, when, I love to consider that these games are like semi-canon, but like I also know that they're, we can't really take it that way. It's kind of a grain of salt thing.
Yeah.
But like they say like, oh, this is 2005, and they say, yeah, we do have a world-class theme park that we have to populate and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess it was a world-class. I mean, a place like that probably would have been world-class from day one.
Yeah.
It would have been top tier, everything. Everybody wants to go there. So yeah, I imagine it was. But yeah, it's funny that we're kind of going down this timeline of like, all right, now we're back in the past and we're talking about populating Jurassic World. I think that's pretty interesting.
It does feel pretty weird time-wise, doesn't it? I'm not going to link on that though, because there's a perfect transfer here, perfect transition, which is, you said you tranked this in the early missions, Brad, but what can't you trank?
I'm assuming this guy.
Yeah, so
Distortus
spoilers
Rex?
for you, Mr. Jost. I'm sorry about this, but the Distortus is the first animal in the game that you can't tranquilize. So the whole idea with that is the reason why they've added, as you can see in the screenshot, listeners, if you are not looking at YouTube, it is the screenshot of the Distortus following the Jeep with the flare. The whole idea with that is the handheld flare is the way you move this thing in and out of containment. So you can no longer tranquilize it and automate it. You have to manually get this thing somewhere safe. So I really like that mechanic, because what I did in Sandbox was I used a bunch of the dam pieces that they've added as a part of the facility map to make a massive containment enclosure that had like the Lost World Arena lights all along the top of it. And I then escorted the Distortus in through a single gate, which was the only exposed part of the build. Got it inside, and then now it's in this custom enclosure. So it makes it really easy to be able to do that with these animals now, which is cool, because you can lead them into spaces that they probably wouldn't be able to be dropped into, which works really well. The Distortus more broadly, I spent quite a bit of time with it, so I got quite a few screenshots with it because I thought this is kind of like the definitive thing, and it made me feel sorry for it, actually, because you like see it sleeping. I also saw it eat a goat at one point, and it like really hesitated before it ate this goat, and I was just like, man, this thing, like, it does not want to exist like this. It's just being forced to exist like this. And it's really interesting because when I hatched it, Dr. Dewar had a voice line, which was something like, this animal shouldn't have existed, but now we've made it, we have a responsibility to treat it like everything else. And I just really like that. I think this is a bit of a tragic villain in the Jurassic franchise. And I chose to stop talking right when Brad had a drink from his mug.
I took a really quick sip. It's interesting. I wonder why they never made it so the Indominus, couldn't be tranked. I guess maybe because they didn't have that ability to add that function in just yet. But that would have been the one to do it on. Why? What did they give a reasoning? Because I haven't. I'm sure they will in like the campaign when I get to that, but I have not gotten to that portion of it yet. So
nothing in the sandbox, so it will presumably be the campaign.
Maybe it's just like too thick and too like monstrous of a creature or something. Because I don't necessarily think. I don't think the I don't think it has like Indominus Rex impenetrable like skin or anything like that. It doesn't seem like that to me. So. Interesting. But I am so excited to get into this because just looking at this image and seeing this like sequence play out, man, I just want to go back and watch Rebirth.
I'm gonna make you more excited by sending you another image that our listeners and viewers won't see.
I'm gonna be disappointed though because like Rebirth has this creature in there for 10 minutes and that's it. Oh man, dude, that's so cool.
It does. Do you know what I find interesting? And we'll come on to this even more when we talk about everything around the animals. This game has made me go, I really love the world of Rebirth. I hate the storytelling of Rebirth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it at this point, but I think, yeah, I would love to. Like, I hope we don't just forget about this creature because I want to see more of it. But like, what kind of sense does that make to go back and visit it again? I don't know, but
they're going to give it
but
the
at least we are
treatment
here.
that the Mosasaur nearly got in this film, where you'll just see a frame at the start of the just like washed up on a beach dead.
No, God, don't do that. Oh. Anyway, that's the dinosaur species there, right? That's everything we've got.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited for them, and yeah, let's talk about. Let's go into the campaign a little bit too, because
Yeah.
I want to talk about that
Hit me
too.
with it.
So yeah, it starts off just like Rebirth, right? It kind of does. It actually, carries in that same music, the same exact score from Rebirth, and it felt cool. But what I was talking about before was like visually, it's not really. It's at least on the console, it wasn't like fully representative of what we got in Rebirth, because Rebirth, that entire sequence is fake. Like nothing is real there. That's all digital, and it looks so beautiful in Rebirth. It looks so beautiful. Seeing all that attention to detail, everything is so vivid. It was a little less vivid here, but I'm like, all right, I'm playing a video game. It's fine. I wasn't really going to knock it down a peg or anything, but since you kind of brought it up before, I was like, oh yeah, I guess visually it's not really holding up. If you held them side by side, Rebirth and this game, that same sequence, because it doesn't have the monkey portion in the beginning. But
when you say the sequence, are you talking about the lab?
The helicopter flying in. Sorry, I should have
mentioned
that
okay.
sequence.
Okay, I got
the helicopter flying in. It's got the same music playing, and it's literally, it feels like it's doing the same things, which is cool. I thought that was awesome. But yeah, I couldn't help but be like, yeah, it doesn't visually capture it the same way that the movie does. But hey, it's a video game, and it looks fantastic nonetheless. I do think this game is beautiful, but that did stand out to me right away. I will say, this game is severely lacking Ian Malcolm. Like, I feel like it's really missing his touch. He's been such a vocal part of this series, and it's so nice to hear him talk about this stuff. And like I was talking about before with like, I like to consider it canon, but it's not really canon. That's why I like having Malcolm, because I'm like, oh, I can't wait to hear Malcolm's insight into what's going on here and what's the tie. And at the end of the game, spoilers for the game itself, but Malcolm does say something. I don't have the exact quote, but he's like, the game's wrapping up, the credits are about to roll, and he's like, this is considered somewhat of a rebirth. And he says rebirth, and I'm like, oh, that is so cool. Like, we're getting that canonical tie. It's fun to hear him kind of
except when he says
era.
the rebirth. When he says the rebirth, he's talking about the dinosaurs being reborn on the mainland, and they're gonna like prosper, all of that kind of stuff, right?
Probably, yeah. I don't know, but it was obviously an overt tie to the game or to the movie. There was one other tie to it that I remember pretty early on. Oh, it was about like dinosaurs dying off, and it was one scientist was like, dinosaurs seem to be dying off, and I'm not really sure why. And that was about it. There was really no more look into why or what. But I like that they were alluding to it.
I do have
a
confession here.
Yeah.
I have a confession. People from Frontier, if you're watching this, just like skip 30 seconds ahead. I never actually finished the JWE3 campaign. Yep, I just went full into sandbox mode and never finished the campaign.
Well, that's what makes this game great, is like that's what you want to be doing. You want to do that. And hey, if you pick up Call of Duty, some people don't care about the campaign. They just want to go play the multiplayer. Like, that's okay.
I'm a campaign only boy. I don't care about the multiplayer.
I like both. I would like to go into both, but I don't even have those games anymore. But like, I always liked playing both, but some people don't. So I think that's fine. Like, I don't think anybody should be mad at you from Frontier. I don't ever really touch the sandbox. So I want to be, but I feel like by the time I've played through the campaigns, I've like had my fair share of the game, and I'm like ready to move on. But yeah, I think with the first game, Jurassic World Evolution 3, I played it for a bunch of time, like a bunch of hours initially when it first came out for those first 2 weeks or so. Then I stopped because I did get to the end, but I couldn't beat it. So I was like, I'll put it off for a little bit. I ended up putting it off for quite a while. Picked it back up like last week or something. And I'm like, all right, I have to beat this now. I know the DLC is coming out. And so I did it. I powered through and I miraculously finished that campaign. The campaign itself was not super hard until I got to that last mission. And I was like, oh, this is difficult. And I don't even know how
Yeah,
I
you said, doesn't
finished
it like jump really suddenly?
It well, yeah, it was like a pretty level playing field. I was like having a good time. Then all of a sudden it ramps up and it's like very difficult. And I was like, I don't know how to do this. I'm frantic. I failed it 6 times or whatever. And every time I took a little bit of information. I was like, all right, I need to do this a little bit better and focus on the other stuff less and do, and I was like kind of frantic at the end of that game, just tearing stuff down, trying to get money because I was losing money so much. And eventually I did beat it, but yeah, so it left me in a good place. I was refreshed on the mechanics again and able to jump right back into this campaign. But yeah,
You can tell it's been a really long week because you said eventually I was able to beat it and my brain just started playing Michael Jackson.
Beat it. Yeah, just beat it. I did just beat it. But anyway, I did. And I just felt like Malcolm was severely lacking though here. And I kept finding myself just being like, yes, dinosaurs are roaming free here. And I was just like, I was kind of doing voiceovers because I felt like he was missing from that.
Controversial take. I think his inclusion would be overrated. I actually feel like I feel like Dominion, his story is like wrapped up and it's done. I don't think we need to bring him back here because I feel like otherwise we keep going in circles using the same characters. Where actually with Lily Talbot, at least they've tried to build out an original character who they granted did have in the campaign, but they're trying to give her more of a standing instead of it constantly relying on legacy characters. And I really like that. Like it's the same as if Zora, Duncan, or Krebs had turned up here. It wouldn't have made any sense. So
no, that wouldn't have
I'm
worked,
actually okay with them not including named characters from the films.
See, at this point, they should have brought back Bryce, and had her do the voiceover or something, because like that would have canonically made sense at that point to have her come in, or
I feel
or
like
BD
even
Wong
2005. Yeah, like 2005, wouldn't it be Evolution of Claire? Wasn't that when she was in the like internship program?
I think that was like when they were building the park. I don't think it was open yet. So I don't know, but yeah, I think anybody from that era would have been nice. Mm-hmm.
I think that because that kind of canonically with Ars Saint Hubert is the biggest question in my brain at the moment is like, did Doctor Wu know about this island, or was there stuff that was like so off the books that even he didn't know about it?
I'd hope so. I would really hope so. I don't actually remember you mentioned the name Lily. That doesn't even stand out to me as somebody that I had just heard talking for a while. But there were like 2 people that I didn't feel like I knew. One of them was, let's see, I just had his name up here, Dale Mulling.
Yeah.
And you're saying the other one was Lily?
Oh, so Frontier spoke to us about them. No, there's 2 characters. There's Dale, who's like a maintenance worker, isn't he? And then there's, I think, a scientist as well. And Frontier did say that they're very much like new characters, but their whole goal with them was to make it feel like you're working with colleagues. So it's not people who are like
Callie O'Connor.
Yeah.
So
it's like it's their whole intent with this. They said this in their press thing. The preview we went to was basically the whole idea is that they feel like colleagues this time around. So in other like DLCs and expansions and whatever, say like Malcolm, for example, he's always going to feel superior, right? Because it's Ian Malcolm. In this, by using different characters, it feels more like you're working with people instead of working for them.
What was that guy's name? I'm blanking on his name. The guy that's been a part of this franchise for 3 games now.
Cabot Finch.
Cabot Finch, yes, that guy. Like, where's he at? I haven't heard him yet. So yeah, I don't know.
He got killed by Billy the Brontosaur.
Oh no, he should be younger at this point. He doesn't need the Just for Men that I've seen him in those commercials or whatever it is.
Oh my
If anybody's
god.
wondering, I've seen the guy, like the face that they use for Cabot Finch. I've seen him like on TV in commercials for like some sort of like hair dye product or something like that. And I'm like, that's Cabot Finch. But yeah, so I found like the characters Callie and Dale are fine, like they're good, but they just kind of blend in like any of the other characters. At the end of the Evolution 3, it got very convoluted with like the amount of characters they had, and the there was like a lot of intrigue in behind like some of those characters and what they were doing. And I was kind of lost on the storyline of it at that point. I'm like, I don't even know what's happening here anymore. But yeah, these guys are fine. I have no problems with them. But whenever you go to a new location, I'm like, dang, it's just really missing Ian Malcolm here. I just like having that weight to kind of describe what's going on to the scene, even if it never made sense necessarily. Like, I just liked having him there, you know? So to me, that's a missed opportunity.
I thought of the ultimate description for Malcolm, but I don't know if I should say it.
Oh gosh. I don't know.
I was just going to be like, clearly Ian Malcolm is the definitive leather daddy.
He is. He is. But what else?
I was hoping, like, because I said that just as you were drinking, I was hoping you were going to spit that out.
Yeah, you wanted a spit take.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I tried to hold it in. So the open air aviaries come into play pretty quickly because you have to capture that Mutodon. And dude, I love them. Like I know you said you were trying to hide them. I don't think you really showed me a picture of the aviary itself being hidden, but I do want to see how that looks.
I can show you that. I can show you that.
Because yeah, it's such a big structure that I'm interested to see what it looks like hidden. I can kind of imagine it, I guess. But what I loved about it, dude, when I like zoomed in, I love that it gave that like visual style of like a barrier, kind of like in the first like 20 feet of the aviary, you know, over the top of it. You saw this like very like, it looks like a hologram in like Star Wars. It's very cool looking. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
Nice feature.
Ironically, my main thought with it was, it feels very Rebirth in that it's very technically advanced for no explicable reason whatsoever.
Yeah, maybe, but like, yeah, and again, it's 2005, and they've got this technology out there, I guess. When in Jurassic World, they have a full aviary in there instead of this open air thing. So canonically, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Tell me, how did you do this? Because that's really cool. You've basically just have rocks. Like, so it's I don't even see like a barrier of any sort.
So I put the aviary in, and then all along the perimeter, I put the scenery rock pieces, and then I like slowly blended them in, and it sort of gives you a bowl where you can then, like, from the inside looking out, it sort of looks like cliffs and stuff. Obviously, it looks a bit more unsightly from the outside, but what I've done as well, if you look in the right-hand corner down from the cliff where the little temple is, that's the hatching point. So what you have to do is basically put all of your aviaries in first, put something that you can hatch an animal from in, because I learned this, and this was really painful, and I nearly rage quit the game, is you can't deposit an aerial animal into an aviary without an aviary hatchery. You have to have the hatchery to put them in. So I'd like made this enclosure, covered it all up, then made a separate aviary to hatch my Quetzalcoatlus, and realized that I couldn't put it in the one I'd covered. So I was fuming.
Yeah. That's literally the first thing that happens in the game is like, well, it kind of already, maybe it didn't come with it. You did have to put one in, and you have to transport the Mutodon straight into that thing. So yeah.
Yeah, so I learned that the hard way. But yeah, what I then did with this is I covered up the hatchery, so it's just a little hatch in the cliff wall as well. So I added some extra cliffs around the right-hand side of that picture. And yeah, it's a nice way of giving you something visually distinctive. Obviously, the downside with scenery pieces is you can't put things like viewing galleries or stuff on them, but I'm sure you could work out a way to integrate that into like the cliff face if you wanted to.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see the backside because I assume it's just you see the actual aviary, but like the rock is just butted right up against it or something.
Well, if I make a note,
maybe
I
you
can
can.
upload this to the workshop, so then you can download it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm sure you can contain it with more rock work on the other side of it some way, so it kind of does, disappear in there. But yeah, I love those things. I think they're really cool, and I kind of haven't really cared about aviaries all that much, to be honest, because I find them to be annoying. Like, I have to go in and, the fencing is always in the way and I'm like trying to find my way through there. And it was fine. Like for what it was nice to have those dinosaurs, but I think having the open air is awesome. Like that's very cool. I love that.
It's cool. The one thing I would say, like I was talking about earlier, is it feels like it's still a little bit restrictive in terms of what you can do with it. Like you can't just fly a helicopter in. So if I tried to fly a helicopter into an aviary it's surrounded by rock, it would just kind of bounce off of the top where the force field is not visible but should be. So I find that a bit frustrating, and I wish the behavior mechanics were a little bit different. And also the other thing is I wish there was an option to have the barrier fully invisible, because then that would just make building an open air aviary without any containment a lot easier, because right now you do have to find some kind of way to contain that barrier to hide it. So that's the kind of the other thing I think would be quite useful. I think what this DLC reminded me of when I was playing it is just a lot of quirks of Evolution as a franchise, and just sometimes like the little niggles in terms of the way that it does different things that can just make it a little bit frustrating sometimes. Like I had the good old building restrictions come up a couple of times, and I just remember being sat there thinking, yep, this is Evolution.
Dude, sometimes I'm like, I'm it's barely related, but you have a building and I'm just like trying to fit it in this one little area, and I'm just like
I saw it on your
clicking,
stream.
click, trying to get it to fit in this one little. I'm like struggling. I'm like, come on, you can do it. Yeah, I know you can fit, because like it goes back and forth between visually it looks like it's going to fit, and then all of a sudden it turns red, and you're like, no, I saw it was gonna fit. So I kind of like waddle back and forth to try to get there. And but eventually you can sometimes, but then sometimes you put it in so crooked and you're like, oh, that's not what I want. But whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes the pace of these campaigns is like, I don't have time to fix this pathway. It's a little crooked and I don't care. I can't care. I want this place to look visually beautiful, but also it's like a time crunch. I'm losing money or whatever the case is. So sometimes you just can't really care, but
I feel like you just described life.
Yeah, pretty much. So I didn't necessarily care. I just threw the aviary in there. And interestingly, I don't feel like the other versions did this, but like when the campaign gives you like a task to do, it'll say like, it'll pop up like a blue box on the like the ground and say like, here, this is where you have to put the aviary. So you have to put it in those limits. And then so you do that. And I was like, I don't
before. Yeah.
Have they? I don't remember seeing that before, but maybe. But it was a big blue box, and I wasn't really sure like how it was going to be built because it was new. I've never done it before, but it functioned exactly like the other aviaries when you're those little bubbles that you have to open up. So I didn't really like put it down in the best way, but oh well. But yeah, and then we also have the geothermal power. Have you gotten a chance to dive into that at all?
I've seen the kind of pipes all around the place. That's about as far as I've got, and I sort of know how it works. So this leads me on to one of my frustrations, though. And do you know what? I'm just gonna go out and say it. This is a fantastic DLC. Like this is, and we'll come on to it. The biggest thing for me with Rebirth, if it wasn't obvious from the fact I've already said it on this podcast, I hate the story of Rebirth, but I really, really love the visual design. And I think there's a really unique visual design that this game captures perfectly. But one of the things I wish we had was more blueprints, because you get, I think, possibly 12 different temple variations, the gas station, and a watchtower. And what I would have really loved to be able to place is like little groups of pipes and things, but you can't do that from the off. You have to build them yourself manually. And I think that's the
Oh.
challenge for players like us, where maybe we're time poor, is you don't want to build it block by block by block. It's great to have that ability if you can, but for us, I think that prefabricated stuff is really valuable. And it's the same with things like the walkways from the helicopter pad, for example. That's all built as individual pieces that have been put in. So it makes it quite hard to then use things like the geothermal power in a way that looks aesthetically appealing.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. I actually haven't looked into like the scenery elements all that much because, like I said, you're just kind of blowing through the campaign and it's funny because I was rolling around like the area and I came across some pipes and I was like, dude, those are great. Like they look awesome. They were just like you see in Rebirth, pipes that are exposed out of the ground, cut out for a little bit and then go back into the ground. And I was like, okay, I want to go into the scenery and probably throw those like all over the place because I just liked how they looked. I thought they looked pretty cool. So you're telling me I can't do that, at least from the standpoint of like
No,
what they
so you
pre-built.
can do it. You can do it, but what you would have to do is place an individual segment of pipe, attach another individual segment, attach your curved bit, and if the end is exposed, attach your cap. And the thing that I found a challenge with that as well is the snapping on those parts didn't seem to work very well. So rather than a piece of pipe snapping to the other end of a piece of pipe, you have to manually drag it and line it up.
Yeah, and certainly on controller like that, like it's kind of difficult. I find it sometimes you're like I'm trying to like maneuver things, but
Well,
yeah,
it's what I really want is what I want the snapping mode to be like in a dream world is in Halo's Forge. Forge uses magnets, which is when you place like a wall next to each other, it will have. So let's say there's a square wall, okay? You'll have a magnet in your top corner, a magnet at the middle point horizontally, and a magnet at the bottom corner. And you can snap another one to that. You could snap it to the top two if you wanted to, but you've kind of got a set range of movement in that. And if you want something more precise, you can turn it off. I just think that would make assembling things like this a lot easier. Now, the caveat to this is you could easily build yourself one pipe, save it as a blueprint, and then you can place multiples quite easily. But I still think, again, it's that time drain element.
Yeah, unfortunately, while I think the like the building aspect and saving everything and allowing the community to upload all that stuff, like I think that's an awesome, addition to this game. It's so good. It's just really not for me. I can't.
Yeah,
I'm terrible at it. I'm so bad at it. Anytime I've ever tried to build anything, like build my own building or like a restaurant or whatever, I'm like, this just looks like garbage. Like I can't do it. I'm just not good at it. So I would rely on other people with better blueprints than myself to be able to conjure up. I just wish I could do that, like, or at least wish I had time or whatever to do that.
I think that's the big thing though, is like time, because a lot of the things that go viral in the workshop and sort of do really well and get downloaded by a lot of people are the things that are made by YouTubers whose sole focus is playing the game. And it's great. Like I'm not knocking that for a second. Like people like Evolution Square, for example, she makes fantastic blueprints. I have a bunch of them downloaded, but I think the thing is she has the time to do that because that's her job, right? So she can afford to put that time in. For an average player, they're not necessarily going to have the same amount of time to be able to do that. So that's where I think there's maybe a better middle ground for the system that would make it more accessible for everybody. It's interesting because beforehand, people were talking about the fact that having so much building might be overwhelming. And I kind of think it's gone that way, where I feel like if there were more blueprints and more sort of things shared, I guess, officially, it would make it a little bit easier to keep on top of it. But it's where that is kind of the toolbox is left in your hands, basically. I think that can be quite overwhelming for players at times.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, going back to the geothermal power thing, like I like it. I think it's pretty cool, and it's nice because the power is something that's like been an annoyance for me from the start. Back in the day, it was like wires everywhere in your park. I hated it, dude. It was
Yeah.
so ugly. It was the worst trying to put these wires. And they did continue those. Like there were even some in Evolution 3. Like there's some maps and things where you had to put some wires out. But once they added in the generators or whatever they were, like then you were able to do it without wires, which was great. I loved that, but they were expensive, right? And geothermal power is kind of just like that too. It's nice. You get your one main station thing, and then you can have these like generatory things kind of planted around, and you just have to connect the pipes underground. It's a nice function, nice feature, and then they come with like splitters that you can like you just put it on, and it'll split the energy level. So if you have like a 20 energy level, it'll split it so each pipe then gets 10 after that.
Yeah. So it's a lot more resource
nice,
management heavy, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it's going to be something to think about because just like you have to get used to the generators for the other things as well. But yeah, just keep an eye out when you see the lightning bolt. You're like, oh, I got to fix that. Add another one of those things. Add another pipe. So I don't know. I'm not really like fully versed in it enough to see like, all right, what do I need to do to make this look the best, to not have it like be a jumbled mess? Because I feel like there's a learning curve even with the wires. Like I want it to be simple, but then all of a sudden you start off your first map has like wires everywhere, but then by the end you're like, all right, I've simplified it a little bit.
You're getting there with it, aren't you?
But yeah,
I think it's cool
I like
that they
the
made it a part of the gameplay. Yeah, I think that works well. I think I also like that they made it part of the gameplay, because I was going to say it could have easily just been an aesthetic thing on the maps. I've just had a brainwave.
What's that?
Do you know what you might be able to do? Because I did this on the river map. You can grab prefabs that Frontier have made and save them as blueprints. So I grabbed one of the cliff faces on the river map and saved it as a blueprint. I'm wondering if I can do that with pipes on another map.
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder. That's where I saw him. I did see him on the Riverside one, I think. So you should be able to find him right there.
I will, I'll take a look at that after this. What I was going to say is I think it's quite interesting that they made it a gameplay mechanics. It would have been quite easy for it to just be a bit of scenery and done. But I think it's really nice that they went as far as thinking, okay, the island in the film has got geothermal power, so we're going to replicate it in the film here, or in the game here, because obviously that's such a nice nod to the novels anyway, and the fact that some of the in-gen facilities in the novel do use geothermal power. So it's just, again, I really feel like Frontier... Sure, there's like minor things I would have loved to have seen in this DLC, but I think by and large it's really obvious that they put a lot of hard work into this DLC and really immersing it in the theming of Rebirth.
Yeah, and the scenery and stuff. The fact that there's temples just like already placed out there. Like I put myself on the ground level and I was just like walking around the jungle and like pretending I was exploring. It was great. I couldn't enter any of the temples, but like there's like black doorways that you could like seemingly walk into, but you can't ever go in. But I also wanted to walk up the stairs, but it didn't let me do that either.
I mean, let's talk about scenery, because I shared a video yesterday that was like a cinematic of just one map, which is the facility map. And what I really love with that is, in the past, when you've gone onto a map in creative mode, usually everything is wiped. So in I remember in the original Biosyn Valley map, I think the Biosyn facility got wiped, or if you put certain settings on, it disappeared, or there was like ways to keep it. But this time, I think it's if you go into a super flat map, then it disappears. But on this one, if you just load into creative normally, you've got the facility there. So you've got the dam, you've got the building that the lab's in, you've got the petrol station, not a gas station, a petrol station. You've got some of the pipes.
I don't even think it's gas. I think it's just charging station. Yeah. I think they use electric vehicles.
You've got so much. Like I literally spent some time just filming the stuff that was already in the map, because it all aesthetically nails the Rebirth aesthetic. And that's what I really love here, is I feel like hats off to Matthew Clark and the other designer who worked on the kind of visual design for Jurassic World Rebirth, because it really is captured well in this game. Like things like the buildings have got the grass on, like you showed just there, but equally the kind of environment as a whole. You've got the pipes everywhere. You've got this massive dam. You've got cranes. It just feels very accurate to what we see in the film. And I think that's what I enjoyed the most about this, is that kind of facility is so compelling in Rebirth, and you spend maybe 15 minutes there. You spend sort of like 4 minutes in the lab at the start, and then the very end of the film. Maybe it's like 20 minutes actually, but you don't spend a lot of time there. So actually getting to really sit back and kind of enjoy the aesthetic of this island has been really, really cool. And it has made me want more of it, which is weird for me, considering it's quite apparent I didn't like the film as a whole. I would like more of that location. I think the challenge is I don't know how the franchise does it. Like, I feel like this might be the most time we get to spend with our Saint Hubert, and then that's it. Because I can't see a compelling narrative reason to go back to the island. So, on the one hand, it's sad that I don't think we'll do that. But with the game, it's nice that we now get the time to sort of take in the island at our own leisure.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I can see us going back there is if we get like Loomis being like, I'm just going to go back and study and then do the whole Alan Grant thing, like kind of just be off on his own. I could see that happening. But as far as the buildings and the aesthetic is concerned, like, I think two things can be true. Like, while I don't really understand how this could be the visual aesthetic of, 2005 Jurassic World, I love it. I think it looks great. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, with the grass on top of the buildings, it looks really cool. But also at the same time, when you're, flying over the island, kind of being your, the manager of the park or whatever, like, it is visually kind of hard to understand what building is what. Like, I'm like, I don't know which one's which. So it's nice to have the little icons. Sometimes they do pop up, but not always. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know which one this is.
I feel like you've said that about the normal buildings anyway, Brad.
Well, I feel like, maybe it just was the time that we had to play with the other ones, because the visual aesthetics have mostly been the same across the 3 games. But like, this one's a bit different, and maybe it'll take time, but I feel like they just all look very similar. They've got slanted greenery, slanted just gray buildings. Nothing really unique about them per se. Because if I scroll through these, like, if you're looking here, like, you tell me what these buildings are. I have no idea.
Okay, wait. Go slowly. Okay, so Lagoon, that one on the right, I think Expedition Center, because it's got the helicopter landing pad.
You think.
That is your lookout tower.
Yeah.
That's your Lagoon hatchery. That, I think, is your viewing gallery.
Probably a bath.
That's
I think
the
it's a
scenery placeable. No, that's the bathroom there. That's
the bathroom?
Yeah.
But they look identical, basically. Just one has green on the roof. Yeah, please, tell me.
I think the one on the right, is something to do with power.
Gray building with pipes.
And the one on the left,
gray building with grass on top,
that might be the viewing gallery, actually.
Yeah,
one of them's the viewing gallery, one of them's... No, go back, actually, go back.
Tell me what these are.
Go back,
gray building with grass.
Wait, go back to the other one. I can tell you what it is. Go back. So that one there, yeah.
Wait, which one am I going back to? You said go back way too many
times. Where have we gone? That one with the green stripes is the Jurassic Tour guide, because look, it's got the garage door on the side that the Jeep comes out of.
Sure. Okay. I get it. Whatever. They don't really they all look identical, and you've said like maybe 16 times, so I don't know. But yeah, anyway,
that's a temple.
They look,
that's also a temple.
There's a temple, there's some archways. Yeah. But they all look very similar, so it's hard to kind of differentiate. I think when you're in the middle of a gameplay and you're trying to click on buildings real quick and find the I don't know, the staff center or the maintenance or whatever. A lot of times, luckily, you don't need to click on those buildings necessarily. You just hit that R1 L1 kind of on the PlayStation controller if you want to call up those things. But yeah, so I guess technically you don't really need to. But what I will say is I like that because at the start of this game I was like, wait, why are we bringing people here? What's going on? Because at least all the other games have come up with like a valid excuse of like, oh, why there's like guests coming in and stuff like that. I will say some of the stuff in Evolution 3, it's like supposed to be like, there's an arrival point with like guests and things, but the amount of visual workers that are roaming around the park is like incredible. There's like 50,000 workers with helmets and things. It's quite funny.
Yeah, in like
But
a classified facility.
yeah, but what I like about this one is that there are no guests. It's not guests anymore. It's workers. And like you have to place the bathrooms for the workers, and you're not making money based off of like restaurants and things, at least so far that I've played. You're making money based off of bathrooms and accommodations and things like that. So like if you don't have your bathroom and your accommodations out and like your bunkers and things, then you're gonna have a bad like income level or whatever it's called. So you want to make sure you place those. Huh? Yeah.
Mhm.
You can't have people on an island and have no bathrooms. Come on.
No, exactly.
So, but I like that it's based off of workers and not guests this time around. I think that was a pretty cool move.
that's quite a cool distinction. Yeah, I'm really excited to dive into the campaign. I was gonna try and do it this weekend, but I've got to edit Fossil Fest stuff tomorrow, and it's Father's Day on Sunday in the UK, so I don't know if I'm gonna make it onto it this weekend.
I feel like you guys have Mother's Day on a different day than us, but
yeah, we do.
Father's Day is the same day? Why?
Oh, is it? Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
Huh, weird.
What
the heck's going on there?
Yeah.
Let's figure that out, world.
Is this the moment where I have to say Happy Father's Day to the father of the Jurassic community?
You're welcome, son. Happy Father's Day. Yeah, okay.
Wait, why are you saying Happy Father's Day to me?
to all the fathers out there. Happy Father's Day. Well, actually, this is coming out after Father's Day, so
yeah.
Hope you had a Happy Father's Day.
This is scroll up a little bit further. One thing that I do absolutely love is that we can spend more time with the InGen off-road vehicle as well. Like the level of detail on this in the game is insane. I don't know if you've looked at it, but inside it's got like the gear shift, all of the switches on the dash. It even has a little InGen sticker on the dashboard as well. I was just like, it's so cool that we're getting to see more of this vehicle. And this is another one of the things where, like you were saying with the structure, I'm like, it makes no sense that InGen have got this electric vehicle when over on Jurassic World they're using G-Wagons and 6x6s. But I love it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here for it. It makes no sense canonically. Yeah. And like, this makes zero sense, but I love it.
Yeah. One thing I really do like too is the amount of drone work that you get to do on the island. Like I find myself having to use the drone a lot, and I think it's much easier than trying to get the vehicle cause sometimes, dude, driving the vehicles around your park is a complete nightmare. Like trying to get through trees, like you get stuck on all the trees. And honestly, when I get out of when you do first person, like you're actually doing the driving.
Yeah.
When I leave the facility of like the maintenance facility or the ranger station or whatever, I have no idea where I am. I'm like, which direction do I go? I can't tell.
Brad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a gaming trick here.
I have one too, but yeah.
Use your scenery paintbrush tool and paint yourself some roads, and don't put foliage on them. So I'll send you a screenshot after this call. I did that on my facility map, and it just has like roads going all across the area, and it makes it really easy to traverse it.
Okay, nice. Yeah. Send me some stuff, because I sometimes I get in there, I'm like, I have no idea where I'm going. And then
I'm gonna turn my Xbox on and put it on silent right now and get you this screenshot while we're still recording.
But yeah, and then anytime I'm like in the paddock, or sometimes there's trees outside the paddock, I just completely get stuck in them and can't find my way around. It's super annoying. But yeah, I think anyway, when you have the drone, you just click on like your hatchery, and a drone can pop right out, and then you can go and do the scan, which I'm not really sure what the scan is just yet. Like sometimes it's told me to do a scan of the dinosaurs, and I'm like, I don't really know what this is gathering. But you just go around and you do some like visual, like Star Wars looking scan, like you're like a droid or something, like a probe droid. I don't really know
I mean,
what's
it's like the
happening,
welfare check, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, but I don't really understand it. I don't know why that's happening versus what used to happen or whatever. So, so you have to go around and scan it like on one side and move around the back or the front and scan the other side and kind of move around a little bit while the dinosaur's running or whatever. It's kind of crazy,
Mm.
but yeah, I do like being able to use the drone for photographs and things like that.
I actually
I
haven't used it at all yet, so I'm quite excited to
oh,
try that.
nice. Yeah, the controls are a little wonky
Mm.
at times. Like sometimes the drone will start to head a different direction than I feel like I want it to go, but it's
Sounds
fine.
like my drone in real life.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm not faulting it. I think it's just like it's just one of those quirks of like operating a flying vehicle like that, but also
Mm.
operating the camera at the same time. So sometimes you get a little turned around as like which way is the front of this drone? I'm confused. But there is like a little thing that comes down. You can see. But it is nice for photographs and things like that. I found myself kind of just lingering around. There's two missions. Um, One that I have to do, I'm like, I don't even know. I have to like give some tuberculosis shots, and I have no idea because none of my dinosaurs have tuberculosis. So I don't really know why it's asking me to do that. And then the other one is like, I had to wait around for the T-Rex to hunt, and I'm like, dude, I'm just sitting here waiting. I'm not doing anything. And I was in the drone for a while. I'm like commentating, like I'm like doing like a dinosaur documentary about how this
Oh
dinosaur
my
is like,
god.
how the T-Rex is stalking its prey. And then, of course, there was still a goat left over, and then it went for the goat instead of the Parasaurolophus. And
There's
I
always
was like,
got
all
to be
right.
a goat.
I was like, I give up. I give up. And I got out of the drone. And then as soon as I did that, all of a sudden I get a notification that the T-Rex is on the hunt. And I'm like, I got to get back in the drone and I got to fly over there again. So it was pretty chaotic, but I ended up getting the picture I needed. So I find that easier than using the trucks to drive around to go get a picture. So for what it's
It's
worth,
interesting.
I
I
think
might
that's
have
better.
to start doing that. Yeah, I might
Yeah.
have to start doing that. I've just loaded up and sent you a photo of the like road, so you can see the way I've done it. But
Okay.
also, while we're here, I might as well grab a photo or something. This is going to be such a crap like listen if you're just
If you're
like
just listening in
listening.
the audio. So I really had no idea what's happening. What is that coloring? Is that like rocks or what is
So
that?
it's dirt. It's dirt with roots,
Dirt?
is what it's called.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but then also look at this as well. So in Sandbox, you can use the parts of the dam as like paddock walls. So I used it to make a
Oh,
massive paddock for the Distortus.
that's cool. That looks like an appropriate like paddock for like Indominus or T-Rex or something like that, like a
Yeah.
T-Rex kingdom kind of thing. Cool, man. You're doing some makeshift stuff and I love it. I love that. That's cool.
I mean, it looks so much worse than anyone else who does it, but it's all good. We move. Everyone else would
Let's
be like
see.
adding railings and stuff, giving it loads of
Yeah.
detail, and I'm like, oh, the walls are slightly meshing between each other. Perfect.
You know what? Go get a T-Rex skeleton, throw it outside of it. It'll look great. That's how
Yeah.
I top it off and make my park look nice. I just throw like one of those fossils like out there and just be done with it. But yeah, all right, man. I think we've probably covered most of it. Is there anything else lingering that
Can
you can
we?
think of?
Yes. So one thing I want to touch on is I like the fact that there's 3 maps. I know some people
Hmm.
have said, oh, they wish it was one big island map. I don't think that would work as well. I think it's cool that each map feels quite distinctive. The one
Yeah.
thing I would say in that is I do think, like I said earlier, a natural lagoon is missing and should have been included somewhere. But beyond that, I think the rest of it works really well.
Yeah, I think like a beached in area would have been great. And imagine if you could
Mm.
do like a beached area where, or you're near the ocean side, and you don't have control over the mosasaur. Like that would
Yeah,
have been pretty cool. It's just out there in the ocean, and you have to do things to summon the mosasaur to you. You like there's a
yeah.
sonar call or something like that. You put it in the ocean, and
An
it like
orca.
calls it in. Yes, an orca device. You put it out there, or you put like the lure out there, and it'll fish in the mosasaur. Like I think there would have been pretty cool ideas to do that without having it in containment. I think that would have been pretty interesting, and maybe they could have come up with a quick story reason why. Have Cabot Finch come out and be like, "Well, it looks like it broke out of containment, and now the walls have disintegrated." Whatever.
Yeah.
But there could have been something fun in there.
Dude, you're saying this. They literally show us like the river lab that we never see in the film. Just confirm that this was a different mosasaur. Show us a broken down lagoon that it's got out of.
Yeah, dude. Again, like that's why I'm always asking like DreamWorks and Scott out there and all the writers, Bethany, everybody to like come up with these little things that I can like just cling on to make sense. And even if it's Jurassic World Evolution 3, I'm like, let me cling on, please. Like, give me some hope. And that's why. There's a story feature in here as well, which I kind of liked as in addition to the other stuff. But like, there's one shot where I forget what dinosaur it was, maybe Parasaurolophus or something. The gate when you hatch it, it starts to spark, and you're like, oh, what's going on there? It's not working very well. And then like Callie or whoever comes over the radio, and she's like, yeah, you can see there the park's malfunctioning a little bit. Things are not up to current day standards because we're using old legacy equipment from the old park or whatever. And I kind of liked that because it gave the value of like, oh, this park isn't perfect. Again, it doesn't make full sense because of how modern and scientific a lot of the things are, but I like that like some of the things that are left over are like from old incarnations of like, I don't know, Jurassic Park or something. And it makes sense. They're storytelling for the reason why the door doesn't close appropriately with the Snickers bar to me. Like they're making those connections of like why the doors aren't working appropriately. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Even if it's just like a little note just like that.
It's a little throwaway thing
I'm cool with that.
Isn't it? Yeah, I like that kind of stuff. I think that kind of writing's always fun because that was what I tried to do a lot with Tales. It's like tap into little moments, like how did those pteranodons end up in Vegas, for example? I just love when people do that in the franchise. It's one of the big things I love with the Big Finish Doctor Who audio dramas as well, is they'll like take characters that you've never seen before or you've not seen for a while and explain where they go. So a good example, because I know you're a Doctor Who fan, the latest unit audio drama has Colonel Mace from the Sontaran Stratagem in it, and it's the first time that he's been seen since that story back in 2008 or whenever that was. So
oh my God.
I'm all for
saying
stuff
things
like
I don't
that.
remember
And
at all.
I feel like Jurassic should do it more. He's the unit commander in the episode with the Sontarans with David Tennant.
Jeez, that's ancient history.
You're like, there were Sontarans with David Tennant?
Oh, speaking of David Tennant, what's
Wait,
he gonna
you're
be?
like
He's going to be
David
in,
Tennant, the 14th Doctor?
We're getting 2 doctors in some. What is the Only Murders in the Building?
That thing with Jodie.
Like, that's going to be great.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that. All right. Anything else on this game before I ask you?
Just genuinely, it's fantastic. I'm really, really happy with this DLC, and I think, like I've said, I did not like the film, but I think it's a real testament to Frontier that I'm having so much fun with this DLC. It shows that they've really captured the best elements of the storytelling in Rebirth, and I think this is exactly the injection of energy that this game needed.
Yeah, man. Thinking about what I was just talking about, the old malfunctioning equipment and stuff. If Rebirth had just done 90s aesthetic instead of this retro futuristic vibe, which we've talked about multiple times in this episode, we love that look. It just doesn't necessarily jive with the storytelling. I think if they had done retro equipment, dude, that Snickers scene would have made a lot more sense. And like, even if they had a guy like bang on the side of a computer, like, how do I make this old junk work? Like it could have been awesome. Like they could have really done something cool there. And I think that would have been one thing that would have been checked off our list. We would have loved it a lot more, I think. But yeah, anyway, kudos to Jurassic World Evolution 3 for getting that that thing stuck in my head now of wanting old, old stuff in the park. But yeah, I'm loving it so far. I think. Oh, I should have mentioned this. There's I don't remember this really being a part of the other version of the game, but like there's assignments. There's a lot of assignments you have to do.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
tab is it feels different. I don't feel like I had to do all this before, but there's assignments and you have to do a lot of assignments in order to progress. And I will say it is slightly confusing at times. I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? I have to do this assignment before I do that assignment. And I'm kind of confused. So I've been jumping a little bit around, and you have to complete like 12 assignments in this one mission that I'm doing, and
Oh my
it's a lot.
gosh.
But I'm trying to figure it all out and,
I
and
know
get
they
through it.
said
That's
some of them are optional, aren't they? So it's not meant to be like overwhelming.
well, it still kind of is, because there's like priority, then there's like secondary or whatever they're called. I don't remember what they're called, but yeah, there's certain ones that are like the main mission, and then there's like side quests basically.
Mm.
So yeah, but yeah, that's the last thing I'll add there. The assignments are a little overwhelming, a lot to handle, but they help you get through, and they help you unlock like genomes and things like that. I think because I'm also like, oh,
Yes, yeah, they
I
do.
need more mutodons in this game. I can't add any because I can't hatch them, but I don't know how to because there's no dig sites. And I'm like, I don't really know what's going on. How do I get these? Because my mutodon's lonely. And I'm wondering, like, what am I supposed to be doing? So I think you need to like complete tasks and all this stuff, assignments or whatever, in order to get your reward, which
Unlock
is
them and get them.
genomes or
Yeah.
whatever, So
Well,
and
yeah.
money or
So
stuff like that.
you've prompted something really interesting actually that Frontier showed us during the preview event as well, which I've not even touched on yet, but it is that genome modification, because the thing that they showed us was venomous bite. So you can give any dinosaur the attribute of the Dilophosaur where it poisons its foe when it bites them. So that kind of stuff I just think again is awesome, and it adds so much more depth to the overall gameplay experience as well.
Yeah, balance security with research. And I'm out there wondering, where the heck is the security like level on these dinosaurs?
When it's literally on
Way
the
too
screen
long.
that you've opened.
Yeah, but that wasn't the main screen I was looking on. I was looking in the hatchery, and I'm like, I guess it's
It
this
was so
badge.
funny because you were literally like, you were sat there saying, "Yep, well, I have no idea where that is, no clue whatsoever," while it was literally on the screen.
Whatever. But yeah, I haven't gotten to the venomous traits yet or anything like that, so that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, I did not get a chance to do the early access thing, the whatever it was called that you said. I planned on it, I signed up for it, but I didn't get a chance. I was busy that day, so
I remember getting a message from you like, "Oh God, that was today, wasn't it?"
yeah, I missed it. I had too much going on, and I literally just blanked on it. I wouldn't have been able to make it even if I had remembered. But yeah. So anyway, thank you to Frontier for that. We appreciate it, and can't wait to dive in some more. So maybe we'll update you later on.
I'm
But
really excited to see what's next.
yeah. What could be next at this point? I don't know. But
Yeah.
let me ask you a few more things here before we end up going. But survival. Any thoughts on the good state of survival? That's all that we got. That was like our update recently, was like it's just looking good or something.
It's coming. It's coming. I heard a little while ago that it's going to be a bit longer than anybody thought, but it is coming.
Yeah. I'm excited for that eventually. I hope it's just looking like better than we want it to look. I hope it is everything that we need it to be. So they got a lot.
I think when you say better than we want it to look, sadly the graphics are going to be very Saber.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, they sold everybody years ago on that, like, gameplay trailer. It wasn't even gameplay, I guess. It was just like the visual trailer or whatever, just cinematic trailer. And it looked very good, right? Like, it looked great. And then there was some of that gameplay stuff mixed in there, which definitely didn't look as good. But yeah, I'm hoping this is going to be everything we want it to be. But just still waiting.
I'm just hoping it survives. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also the other Saber thing, the Stuntman Ignition, or Hollywood. No, not Ignition. That was an old one.
Yeah.
Stuntman Hollywood, I guess was that was what it was
Yes.
called.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I like seeing so many different franchises represented in it. I just think it's interesting that again Jurassic was delayed because it's got I feel like it has to be something to do with the Crichton estate and just reworking out the rights or something like that. Like that's the only reason I can see for it just going completely radio silent.
But it's so weird because is it only a video game rights issue? Because everything else has been, fully functioning. There's been theme park stuff going on.
Mm.
There's no problem there. They're literally opening up a new Jurassic World,
I wonder if
portion of a
it's different
resort,
kind of
and
agreements.
that's what I'm wondering
Like that.
because
Yeah.
this radio silence that's been apparently happening here with video games. It's only really been video games. Like it's Saber and it was Frontier, but like
I'd
everybody else,
say
Mattel's been fine.
yeah.
Theme parks have been fine. Other merchandise and stuff has been fine. So I don't know.
But so with merchandise that's usually agreed a year in advance, so that wouldn't be affected. I think with
Mhm.
something like the theme parks as well, that's usually agreed when they first agreed to build them. So I don't think that would be affected. I do think it's interesting that we didn't get anything Jurassic at Cinemark on this year.
Well, hey, if we're gonna talk about that, I mean, we have David Kep out there talking about that quote. I don't know if you saw that quote. I'm sure
Oh
you
my
did.
god, don't get me
And
started!
I'm
It's
getting you
literally
started
like there's
because
no way to expand the story. We were there, David, and you took us out of it.
yeah, that was so. It made me like irrationally mad just because I'm like David Kep, very accomplished writer, has done so much stuff, could not figure out a way that because it was too big. They opened it up too much, they said. And like that's not true. There was so much you could have done with that spread out world that they built. I think you really could have done something even if he talked about honing it in and trying to bring it back to like the core concept, I guess, they could have still
Mhm.
done that without shutting themselves off from the rest of the world, basically. So I still think that was possible. So to me, it's like it feels like it was not very imaginative thinking that was going on there.
I'm gonna make a controversial statement and watch this get me cancelled or like lose me a job in the future or something. I think part of being a professional writer is acknowledging when you're not the right fit for something.
Yeah, yeah.